Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Junkies. I can't speak loud because we got a lot of secrets to share. I'm kidding. Hi, I'm Nick Zigic, and you're watching the Real Estate Junkies. We're going to be talking about something very different today. A lot of you wonder, okay, how do I buy a house? How do I sell a house? All these real estate issues. However, there is a segment of the market that's very different. Forever renters. People actually rent by choice, sometimes not. But there comes a time when we decide that we want to buy a house. And what if it is at the age of 50, 52, 45? So we're going to find out all the venues on how to own a house at the later age. Stick around. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm here in the studio with a friend of mine and a great guy, John Thompson from the First Priority Financial Company. John, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Welcome again to the studio.
I appreciate it.
Your team name?
TG Loans team.
I love it. TG Loans team. Now, there are partners too, so when we need to solve problems, we address them, and we do them together. So we have a separate issue today.
Yeah.
And that is forever renters.
Yeah.
You have those?
We do. I mean, and they're actually great people to work with. A lot of fun. So
Of
I've got a
course.
good story to share with you in a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. We had an open house the other day, and there was a lot of people that went through. And as we were preparing the show, there was 50% of the people that came by were actually in the market of buying a house for the first time,
Yeah.
even though you would never think so. So it has been, I guess, with this change in the market and the market climate, something that changed people's mind and said, you know what, I might even want to own now.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I think we've seen a little bit of a shift as well. You know, when we think of first-time home buyers, normally you're thinking of sort of young couples, or they're just getting married, having kids, whatever else, that kind of thing. But we found there's actually people, you know, as you said a little bit earlier, that are into their 50s now that are saying, you know, maybe I can finally get in the marketplace. You know, they've lived here in Southern California where it's so expensive for so long, and the prices have now gotten to a level where they feel like they can actually get in. And they feel like there's enough time to be able to build a little bit of wealth through that home ownership over the next couple of decades. And I agree with them.
Yeah. So what is the best way to approach when somebody does want to buy a house at this point of time?
Yeah.
And they call me and say, I want to buy a house,
Yep.
and we go out looking and shopping and so on. What's the best way of preparing those particular clients for the financial process?
Well, I think it's the same basics you might go with anyone else, with a little bit of a twist on it. You know, they still need to have their credit scores done and access all their money and bring their documentation and their paperwork together, which can take time. You got to do all those kind of basics, but you got to dig a little bit deeper with these folks because they've been saving oftentimes for many, many years.
Right.
They don't tend to have a lot of cash because they've been renters. They haven't really built up a lot of other kind of things. They do tend to have money in retirement accounts they've had for quite a while. So you kind of need to dig a little deeper to make sure they're really making the right decision. Is it just a thing they're doing just because it feels like a good thing to do? Or is it some kind of maybe part of a larger strategy long term?
So what do you find out more?
Well, I think there's both people. Mm-hmm. I'll share with you a quick little story of some recent clients, Greg and Tina, who came in and, a great guy, really lovely family. He's a pastor, he's an ex-boxer, he works in construction, a real down-to-earth, really great person. But has never made a tremendous amount of money in his life, right? Okay. But he has saved money, been a diligent saver, doesn't waste money, those kind of things. So he says, I want to buy, and I think it's important now because I want to retire at this age. And he had a specific target. And he said, and it seems to me that the one way I can do that a little quicker than other ways is by owning real estate, which is true. Right. Because you can leverage that asset. It's the only thing you can buy with mostly other people's money, which is a great thing. So they come in, and again, they don't have a lot of money, so we got to dig around and figure out how do we get them into a home with very little money, and payments they can afford, because they're still not making a ton of money. In their case, we looked very closely at a HUD program, administered by FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, which allows you to get into a home for as little as 3.5% down. And if you're pretty creative and you manipulate the numbers, you can actually get credits to pay for all their closing costs and different things like that. They got into a wonderful home, in a great little area for almost as much money. You could actually, it costs you more money to buy a car than what they put into this home, if you can believe it.
Well, that's a great story.
Yeah.
Of course, a lot of people would be listening to the show today and asking themselves, how do I get in a home? So, of course, they would call me to start with.
Absolutely.
But the fact is that the financial preparation is the key to actually resolving those. And I think most of all is that a lot of people that I speak with feel that the knowledge coming from the media, from their friends, and so on, is just all the knowledge they need. And there's obviously a whole hidden gamut of things that you financial guys know about.
Well, you've hit on something that's very near and dear to my heart. You're absolutely right. We're in this age, right, Nick, where you can get information about every single thing you want to get, right? How to create a TV show, right, like we're doing right now. You can do anything on yourself, but there's always, the key details are always missing and buried kind of underneath the ground. You know, I think it's important, really, really important that consumers reach out to professionals like you and me and all the other people in our industries that are good at what they do to get that information underneath the surface information you can get on the internet. And those things go anywhere from how this mortgage fits into a long-term financial plan, and they don't want to make mistakes. And in Greg and Tina's case, I was really scared to put him in a situation where, in fact, I hurt them down the road because they had very clear goals of what they wanted to do. Yeah. And if it went wrong, it blows up on them, and they don't have a lot of time to recover. You're 25, you can recover once or twice in your lifetime. You're 55, not as much.
That is a great point because of the fact that, and I don't know if you had those stories happen to you, but quite frankly, I have quite a number of people that come in and seek for advice after they have made the wrong decisions.
That happens, yes, it does.
And that breaks my heart because, I mean, we put so much time into trying to become professionals, the best professionals we can, knowing all this, and especially in the financial field. I can't actually complain about the real estate part. I get continuing education and so on. But in the real estate part, I'm not even trying to catch up with everything. I kind of pick up the titles and so on, and I leave the financial people to take care of all this stuff that is coming out on a daily basis. So with that, I think we covered this area. Do you have anything else that would be very interesting in the first time in the...
the forever renter kind of thing?
Renter?
I think what I take away from my experience with them recently was that it's never too late. And I think that if the goal of homeownership is right for you, wherever you are in life, you ought to check it out. And again, talk to someone like you, talk to someone like me, and see if it's going to work for you. But I wouldn't just automatically write it off, like I'm not going to do it because now I'm too old. I think that's a huge mistake. If something's important to you, check it out and try and do it.
No, I love it. I love it. And the fact is that you got to be able to find all the information that's on the market so that you can make the best plan for yourself. And talking to professionals, not only financial, but insurance and so on, you get to get the real scoop on anything that affects you. Your accountant would help and so on. But you got to talk to the professionals. You can find all this information, our show, the copy of the show, as well as on the Cajun website, as well as myrealestatehq.com, and just click the little link that says Real Estate Junkies, and you will be able to see all the shows, as well as the comments and little things that we talked after the show.
What was that website again, Nick?
myrealestatehq.com.
Okay, got it. All right.
All right. So thank you, John.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Until next time.
Absolutely.
See you all later.